After the offseason in October, you had talked about you're open to maybe changing the lineup. Do you have any clearer picture on that? I'm not asking you to name your opening day lineup, but
Yeah,
had any conversations with any players, Schwarber, any of those guys about
yeah,
maybe
a
making
couple
some
of
changes?
conversations.
With Rob Thomson recently making comments about potentially changing the Phillies lineup around for the 2025 season, I started thinking about what that could look like and how they could improve on their top 5 offense. After a few days of research and number crunching, this is what I believe to be a solid lineup construction to create even more runs this season. Trey Turner. Trey is a prototypical leadoff hitter, and while he has been fine in the 2-hole, his stats in the leadoff spot speak for themselves. Kyle has been fantastic for us there, but this team is in desperate need of a shakeup of some kind, and Trey's ability to be a spark plug at the top of the lineup throughout his career makes him the best option to lead off. Bryce Harper. It is fairly obvious to anyone who watches baseball that Bryce is more than just a home run hitter. He is an all-around great hitter, and he's been transforming himself into a better version of that over the last 2 years specifically. He has increased his use of the entire field and is doing it with more authority with the lowest ground ball rate and second highest fly ball rate of his career, hitting the ball to the opposite field a career best and pulling the ball a career low without sacrificing slug. He's been an excellent 3-hitter, but I believe the combination of him and Trey Turner could mean a lot of runners on base and early runs, with Bryce's matured approach and Trey's track record as a leadoff hitter. Alec Boehm. It's time. It's time for Alec Boehm to either put it all together or to crumble under the weight of his emotional instability. This is me being hopeful that he sought out the team's psychologist in the offseason and worked out his issues, but who knows for sure other than him. Alec is an incredibly gifted hitter, and even with his huge second-half struggles, he made good on improving almost all of his numbers from the year before, a trend that has continued since his sophomore slump and his trip to AAA. Excluding his rookie season in the shortened COVID year, he collected career bests in WAR, doubles, extra base hits, RBI, batting average, on-base percent, slug, OPS, OPS plus, and the list goes on. Boehm has all the talent in the world, and it's time to put that gap-to-gap power to good use and be a supportive hitter behind Bryce Harper. Kyle Schwarber. I know. This is going to be heavily pushed back against by a lot of people, and truthfully, I understand. I too would miss the immediate boost to morale on the bench and in the stands when the first pitch after a clean inning from Wheeler or Nola is sent 460 feet into the right field stands. But as I said before, this team needs a change. And Kyle, while he's been wildly successful for us out of the leadoff spot, is a cleanup hitter by definition, and we need that consistent power threat in the middle of the lineup that has been lacking since Rhys Hoskins' departure. There's a strange stigma that Schwarber is less effective with runners on than with the bases empty, but that's just not the case at all. In fact, every bit of evidence shows that he's just as good of a power hitter, and actually a better overall hitter with runners on base versus when the bases are empty. The run potential this lineup has with this top 4 firing on all cylinders is among the best in baseball, and there really is no disputing that. Nick Castellanos. Casty. He is what he is, and there's no advanced stat on the planet that will predict or explain how he's going to do the next year. He does seem to have settled into the 30 to 35 double, 750 OPS kind of hitter, which is fine. He's not going to blow anyone's mind consistently, but he's going to be there and do stuff and get hot for a couple weeks and make us all believe in the Phillies at a time when we need it most, because he's Nick Castellanos, you know? Brandon Marsh. I've never seen such a gifted hitter with worse instincts or reflexes. It doesn't give me a lot of hope going into this year, and here's what I mean. Brandon Marsh is an excellent hitter. He has cut down on his chase rate significantly since joining the Phillies in 2022, from 32% to 24%, and he's in the 83rd percentile for hard hit. But he only swings at 64% of the strikes he sees, and he strikes out nearly 35% of the time, bottom 3% of the MLB. Because he doesn't attack early in counts and he falls behind swinging at the first pitch a career low 22% of the time, despite seeing 60% first pitch strikes. His swinging strike rate is phenomenal at 10%, but he takes 20% of the strikes he sees overall. If he got his zone swing rate up from the low 60% range to somewhere closer to guys like Trey Turner 74.8% and Bryce Harper 78.2%, We could see a very productive Brandon Marsh emerge, and he's got to put something together soon. JT Real Muto. JT's success this year will be completely reliant on the Phillies' management of him and limiting to 120 games at most behind the plate. He's going to be 34 years old before the season starts. And not to get off topic, but the Phillies probably need to re-sign him to a 2-ish year extension if they hope to have anything serviceable behind the dish in 26 or 27. He isn't capable of 135 games behind the plate anymore, and it showed in 2024. He played a career-low games due to a couple different knee injuries, keeping him out for most of June and July. When he came back healthy, he was one of the club's only bright spots during the tougher part of their schedule, putting together a .788 OPS, with 17 extra base hits over 48 games and a .272, 337, 451/line. Max Kepler. I have done some research on Max Kepler, and to be honest, he's a complete wild card this year. I have no idea what to expect from him. Over the last 4 years, he has trended all over the place, with no real pattern or rhyme or reason to any of it. Based on his games played numbers, I think the most honest assessment I can give is that he will play between 100 and 120 games in left field, meaning the remaining games will be covered by guys like Marsh, Schwarber on rare occasion, and probably a few games from guys like Weston Wilson or Edmundo Sosa. Seemingly the guarantee is that Kepler provides more offense than Rojas was in 2024 at the bare minimum, and the hope is that he cracks into his power potential and gives us a season near 20 homers and 70 RBI. Putting him here in the lineup simply makes it easy to switch people in without disrupting too much of the flow. Bryson Stott. Before you get all huffy about Stott being this low in the lineup, hear me out. You only hit first, sixth, ninth, or anywhere one time. And over the course of the game, having a guy like Stott to bring the top of the lineup back around could be very valuable if he, like Marsh, could just get the bat off their shoulder for pitches in the strike zone. Bryson sees over 60% first pitch strikes, and he swings at just 20% of them. Yes, you heard that correctly. More first pitch strikes seen than Brandon Marsh, and somehow an even lower swing rate. If he could have increased his first pitch swing rate to somewhere in the 50% range and maintained his numbers, he would have improved on his season numbers from a year ago significantly. If Stott can get a bit more aggressive going after strikes this year, he will be on base a good amount of time to roll the lineup over to the top, meaning most likely lots of runs for him and the Phillies as well.